Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. This is the show where we invite some of the top passionistas around the world who are following their passion, making a living, doing what they love. And today, my guest is Heather Elliott. Her entire career has been devoted to people, teaching, facilitating, motivating, coaching, helping them to understand themselves and to live their lives. And she helps them find ways to help them to change. Heather's passion is helping people, teams or organizations, tap into their potential so that they can create and become the biggest, best, brightest versions of themselves. And she does that because she knows it's possible. And so I'd like to welcome Heather into the Passion Point. How are you today, Heather?
I'm great, Caren. Thank you.
I'm just really excited to have you on the show today. We met a couple of months ago. Via social media, which is a really cool thing. We get to meet people all around the world, even though we may not ever meet them face to face. It feels like it's face to face. So I'm really excited that you're on with us today. And I want to start the show the way I always start the show, with a definition of passion according to Webster's dictionary. Webster says that passion is an intense driving or overmastering feeling or conviction. What does Heather say? What's passion to you?
Passion for me is the stuff in life that I will do whether I'm paid for it or not. It's the stuff that you couldn't stop me from doing. It's the stuff that I get up every morning thinking about. It's the stuff I think about before I go to bed every night. It's not my work. It is also my hobby. It's also my love. It's part of every relationship. It's just part of my whole life. That is what passion is to me.
That is an awesome definition. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it exactly like that. It's stuff that you would do even if you didn't get paid. That's a great, great definition. And I'm sure a lot of people can really relate to that because we all have things that we'll do even if we're not getting paid for it. That's called volunteering. It's called all this other stuff, which I'm sure you do as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about you, Heather. Let's talk about your story. When did you start knowing that this is what you want to do? And I've seen your bio. You've got all sorts of degrees and things that you've done. And why don't you share a little bit about yourself, but really how you got on this path of following your passion and helping others?
Wow. That's a journey and a half. I started my career as a teacher, which is about helping people. And I did fall in love with people, but I realized that they did stuff that was unexplainable. Why did that person over there excel, and why did this person over here struggle so much? And as a teacher, you get to observe lots of things, and you know it has to do with nature and nurture and everything else. So my love is people. My belief is that we can all shine brightly, and my desire was to help people. If I hadn't been a teacher, I would have been a psychologist. That's what I wanted to do. That's how I would have made a difference in the life of others. When I left teaching, I followed my pursuit, which was the love of mind. It was, how does our mind create our world? How is it that we are responsible for the world that we're living in every day? And I've been doing that since the 80s. I've been reading all the stuff on affirmations and subliminal tapes and stuff. Back in the 80s, it was pretty sketchy. I mean, you didn't have a whole lot of stuff, but you had some interesting stuff. I was using the affirmations and the visualizations and I also built a subliminal tape with which I changed my life. So I knew the power of the mind to make a difference in my life. I just needed to master it.
I'm going to ask you actually to stop for a second. Let's talk a little bit about affirmations before we even go forward. What are affirmations, and can anyone do them?
Affirmations are positive statements like I am. Positive statements about yourself. And yes, anybody can do them, but what causes a problem is if your subconscious mind does not believe or support the I am statement, that's when you get into trouble. And so the work that I do at Mindful Change, I help people to change the subconscious programming that runs counter to the affirmation. Focusing upon I am is a perfect way of driving your life forward. But if 99% of you doesn't believe it, then it doesn't matter that you focus diligently, it doesn't matter that you visualize regularly, it doesn't matter what you do. If your larger mind is not in accord with what you're saying, your life does not shift. And that's the reason why they don't work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. A friend of mine actually said that she includes real things in her affirmations to kind of trick the brain into believing everything that she's I-emming. She'll say, I am a highly sought after motivational speaker, and then she'll say, I am Linda. And your brain says, oh, that's true, so maybe the rest is true. Have you ever done something like that? Does that make sense?
Um, yes, I mean, it makes total sense to me. I get what she's doing, like connecting it in the brain neurobiologically. It's making one connection to something that's already true. Over time, they'll bleed through. Does she have success with that methodology?
She has had success with that. Me, not so much. I actually tried it after she talked about it because it made sense, but maybe it's consistency and maybe it wasn't the right things that my brain wanted to believe. I don't know.
And it also depends on how much of you is saying no. It also depends on your belief system around your capacity to be able to change your life that way. Like so many of the things that block us have little to do with the I am statement and has more to do with the mind's capacity to believe that by saying I am this or visualizing yourself as this, that is all you need to be able to create that future. Because the brain is conditioned to believe that I have to do something, I have to be something, I have to meet certain people, I have to, I have to build a social media platform, I have to do this, I have to do that. That's what the brain has learned to believe, and because it believes that, then you can say I am this, I am that, and it's going to basically go, no, you're not.
No, you're not. Right. So obviously you learned and you studied all about affirmation, and I did interrupt you. I'm going to let you keep going, but I know that that's a word that we hear thrown about all the time, and I wanted just to kind of make sure people were on the same page. So Heather, please keep going.
Yeah. So that was the 80s. In the 90s, I went to the school called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment. Sounds extraordinarily cheesy, but was the furthest thing from cheesy that I've ever experienced. This man is and always will be my teacher. He taught us about quantum physics, neurobiology. He gave us the practical experience of being able to create a point of focus and to be able to realize it in life in a way that we couldn't deny. Like we could not deny our ability to create from straight focus. And so he was my beginning world, and he taught me all about the mind. And it was from there that I built the Mindful Change product that is a composite of neurobiology, quantum physics, metaphysics, as well as just my experience in life and what we think about and how we think about things.
So when people come to you, is this you said it's a program or a product, or do they work directly with you, or all of the above?
Yeah, actually, it's all of the above. But my one-to-one clients work with me one-to-one. So they have what I call a VIP day. Is that they come in the morning with whatever limitation, challenge, issue that they have that they would like to resolve. And they stay with me for 6 to 8 hours, and we probe the subconscious material that is influencing whatever it is they're trying to find or change. And at the end of the day, they leave different than when they came in, because my job is to help them rewire their mind, to rewire their belief systems, to rewire their attitudes and mindsets about whatever it is that's holding them back.
That's cool. That's very cool. How do people find you? I mean, I know they can go to your website, but if they're searching on Google, what are they searching for to actually find what you do?
Mindful Change. Is that I will come up first in the Google search for Mindful Change.
Okay, so, and that's the name of your company, but is that actually a concept that somebody would be knowing to look for, or?
They probably wouldn't know to look for it, Caren, but that's what the Google search will find. But as far as how other people find me, it's mostly referrals. My business is built totally from referrals and partnerships with people that are aligned with my work.
I love that. It's about the relationships that you're forming and you create so that, and we are in alignment, and we know that, and we refer you, and I know that you've already referred to us. So what do you tell somebody that has lost their passion? I mean, they literally, maybe they've been let go from their job. Maybe they are recently divorced or separated. Maybe, their kids have moved out of the house and they say, now what? What do I do now? And they can't even figure out what their passion is. I mean, I have people come to me, and my company's called Promote Your Passion, and they literally say, I don't know what my passion is. How do I find it? What do you tell people when they come to you like that?
Interesting. One of the things that I've done in life was I used to help people that were making career changes find their greatest interest or passion. And it really came from distilling what they paid attention to. And by helping them connect inward with what they saw as their greatest interest or passion, then they could start to work outwards to say, how can I express it in the world? And oftentimes what people are lacking is they're lacking the knowledge of themselves so that they can be able to make that leap outwards to say, okay, what's my next step in work? What's my next step in education? What's my next step in volunteerism? It doesn't really matter, but they just can't find that. So just even being able to distill their mind down to be able to access that would be a first step. The other thing that I've done with people that have had that problem is to do that day-long process with them. Quite often, your life has become a routine in the sense of, this is who I am. So I'm a mom, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And the thing is that all that is a mindset. It's a way that we've thought about ourselves for so long. It's become a neural habit. And if they examine it, they're able to actually find at the base of that neural habit other aspects of themselves that never got to develop because they were too busy becoming that one person. And once they're able to see it, they're able to build on the potential of it.
And I'm sure that's really exciting for somebody when they finally see that they can move into something different. Have you ever heard, have you read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich?
No, but I've heard of it.
Okay, so it's all about, mindset. Think and grow rich. What do you think about that phrase? You think I'm just going to think and I'm going to become rich. Think and grow rich. What do you think?
There's a lot more to it than that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's no surprise. I would be curious. I don't know his book, but I don't know over how many years he had to actually challenge his own thinking before he became rich. But I'm going to guess that it didn't, that it took time to get there. Because what happens is that your life becomes a mirror usually to what your biggest expectation is for you. And so really when you're thinking and growing rich, you're just outgrowing your own lowest opinion of yourself that keeps holding you in the mediocre spot you're in. And every time you make a leap and you're able to go forward, it boosts your confidence about the ability for that to happen in your life. But you need to be able to hit up against that wall, that barrier several times in order to really bust through and to realize that it really is under your control. And it's just by constantly challenging it that you'll get there. And there are just some people that are innately confident in that department, and Napoleon Hill may be one of those people. Is that if you were to interview the people that have made it big in life, usually they're the people that somewhere in their gut just thought that they had a great idea, or you know what, somewhere in my future I'm going to be massively rich, and they never doubted it. And as soon as you have that kind of unlimited future in front of you that you never doubt, I mean, life is just like a series of open doors. You'll meet people, you'll be involved in circumstances. Life will truly give you what you expect. And if you expect that it's going to give you great things, yeah, the doorways will open to it.
Yeah, well, so Napoleon Hill, what he did is he interviewed, it was back in the 40s, he interviewed all the big, all the people in many different industries, presidents, oil barons, the railroad, all the different people that in fact had not only survived the Depression, but thrived afterwards. And he found that there was this same link that you're talking about that went through all of them, and that is, it wasn't so much that they thought and went rich, is that they maintained those affirmations and those statements to themselves that in fact I could do this. I mean, the whole thing with Thomas Edison, he a gazillion times he tried to, create the light bulb, and it was finally that one, but he needed all those other times in order to get to that one. So is that somewhat in alignment with your thoughts?
Absolutely. I've heard another story, too, about prisoners of war back in Germany, people that rightfully would have died in the concentration camps. The ones that made it out were the ones that could feel that they had something in their future that they had to do. And they were the ones that didn't go to the ovens. They were the ones that were able to make it through and to see their future. But it had to do with a link to that vision and never losing sight of it through the most hopeless times and the most horrific conditions that were, they came out the other side and they were fine.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl, I think, is
Yeah.
one of the survivors that in fact he's known for that. He was able to put his head somewhere else as to where he was going, and in fact he survived. It's fast. This whole subject is fascinating, and obviously you think it's fascinating. It's where you play. I mean, that's your play. That's amazing. Um, we're going to just move a little bit forward right now. I love quotes. I love quotes, whether they're funny, whether they're thought-provoking, or whether they are motivational to get me to the next step in my day. I literally look at quotes in the morning and say, which one is resonating with me today? Today's quote is, and this is from Aldous Huxley, I want to know what passion is. I want to feel something strongly. What are some quotes that you associate yourself with or that you appreciate?
Oh my goodness. There's one by Eleanor Roosevelt that I really, really like, and it's the one that came to mind. I knew you were going to ask me for this. No one can make you feel less than who you are without your permission. Something of that nature. I haven't got the words quite right, but it's the truth. Is that one of the biggest things that goes on in life is that we let other people define us. Is our whole life we've been listening to the authorities outside of ourselves. And our mind is well attuned to giving them authority over us, seeing them as right and ourselves as wrong. I mean, we develop these patterns as we're children. But the truth of it is that when someone else says something to us that makes us feel bad or less or insecure, the reality is that we're giving them power over our lives, and we are believing what they're saying more than we're believing what we ourselves know. And I really loved that one phrase that basically said, without your permission, nobody can put you down. And it's the same way with all of your thoughts, is that without your permission, nothing, no little voice in your head has any truth or validity unless you give it permission to live there. That, to me, is a powerful statement.
Very, very, very powerful. What is a favorite book that you have that you would recommend to people that really is within your line of work? What would be a favorite book?
Oh, there are so many of them. Well, at the school that I attended, the Ramtha school, there was the Ramtha, it was called the White Book. And that, to me, has some powerful statements about who we are at our base that I want to say was the first motivational thing I ever read from the school that encouraged me to go there and to become a student. But I'm trying to think. There's a book called Napkin Notes that is a fascinating little book. And it's little truisms, little ways of seeing the world that are just absolutely fascinating.
I love the title. I love the title. That's awesome.
Yeah, because what it looks like is it's a composite of little notes. Every so often he would see how life was, and he would see it very truthfully, and he'd make a note to himself. And it's kind of like a series of napkin notes you might write to yourself with wisdoms and truisms on them. And it was such a neat little book. I highly recommend it. You can read it in small spurts and think about what it's saying to you. It's not something that you have to read through all at once. In fact, I think it's better digested in small sections.
In small little bites. I just wrote it down. I'm going to go look for it. For our listeners, I will make sure that book is in the run sheet for this particular show and where they can get it. Okay, I have a couple of fun questions for you now, Heather. And that is, if you could spread passion dust anywhere in the world, on anyone in the world, who would you spread it on, and what would you hope to accomplish?
Passion dust. I would definitely spread it on the youth of the world, because I see them as our future. And if there's anything that I would like to have encouraged all of my students to do, it would be to take their lives so seriously that they would choose happiness no matter what, that they wouldn't sell themselves short, that they wouldn't go into vocations that weren't suitable to them, that they would never fail to show up in their lives and make their life important, that they would be responsible for their life, and they would become passionate about whatever they did in life, so that life was a continuous joyous experience. And the place to start that is in childhood.
It starts there. They are definitely our future. No question about that.
Mm-hmm.
What song are you passionate about? What songs are you listening to? Particular music or artist or composer?
Actually, that is not one of my things. My head is so busy, It has all sorts of stuff in it that I find that music is almost distracting. So I rarely go there.
Oh my gosh, this is a first. Thank you, though. Thank you for being honest about that. I'm sure we have listeners that would say, "Oh, yay, somebody that's like me." Okay, well, we're going to just go one more space on this.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts that you have that you would like to share with our audience about being mindful and affirmations, and in terms of how they can contact you and work with you?
I actually was teaching a group last night. I'm teaching others to do what I do right now, and I was describing the mindfulness, and I gave them a homework item that said, pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Pay attention to how you interpret life. Pay attention to what your mind says about your possibilities, because your mind is nothing but a whole pile of information that you have acquired in the journey of your life. It's not who you are. It's not the truth. It is just simply a series of things, experiences you've had, and ways you've stored them in life. Always be mindful. Always challenge what your mind tells you is possible. Always. And become master of it instead of a victim to it. And that goes true for the people that you meet too. Pay attention to how you interpret them and how they influence you, and never let them have power over you, because that's the only place you can become a victim, is if you let other people define you and your future.
I like to say it's the stories that we tell ourselves.
Exactly.
Right. How do people reach you? How do people get in touch with you?
My website is mindfulchange.com, and on my website is also a form that they can contact me there. They can sign up for my newsletter. They can sign up for a free 45-minute mindset consult, and my phone number is also there if they wish to get me that way.
Well, Heather, I have truly enjoyed speaking with you. I'd like to even invite you to come back and explore this whole concept of mindfulness. I recently started to read some books on mindfulness and the practice of mindfulness. And what you've had to share with us is extremely interesting, and I know that our listeners have enjoyed it. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you are extraordinarily busy, to spend time with us today. And to our viewers and our listeners, we want to thank you, because we know you have lots of choices as to how you spend your time, and we want to thank you for spending it with us. So I'd like everyone to go out and give someone an awesome day, and we'll see you next time on The Passion Point. Bye-bye, everyone.